Hello everybody, I'm Randal R. at End Times Visions. 1 Corinthians 1:17-23 in the King James Bible says, "Where is the wise? Where is the scribe? Where is the disputer of this world? Hath not God made foolish the wisdom of this world? For after that in the wisdom of God, the world by wisdom knew not God. So through the wisdom, the world by wisdom knew not God." So once you come to the wisdom of God, the world by wisdom who knew not God, and it pleased God by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believe. Well, the thing of it is, on this video, where do I have it? Right here. This is Carl Sagan with a piece of map paper, and it's got a big dick sticking out from his crotch. If you haven't noticed, that's a big penis. And he uses Egyptian obelisks for his pointers, describing how Eratosthenes, before Christ, realized the earth had curvature using shadows. How interesting. Because, let's see, I'm not sure which one it is. I have to find it. Where'd it go? It's back here. Well, that right there proves earth curvature right there, too. That's the same test right there, supposedly explaining why you see unparalleled shadows on the moon. Well, that's why you see an unparalleled shadow on the earth, because of the earth's curvature, right? So if Eratosthenes was right, explain that then. If Eratosthenes proved the earth curved by shadow from those distances, well, explain that shadow supposedly in that picture then, which explains the shadows in the moon pictures, where there's things wrong with the shadows. So that proves Earth's curvature, and you don't have to go anywhere. Exactly. So you can't rely on that as an absolute, right? But that does suggest something is fishy. So if you're going to use shadows to prove the Earth's curvature, well, you just need that photo right there. And of course, this picture says the moon is a rock, not a light. Which begs me to question, where's that picture at? Oh, I got a picture up here somewhere. I don't know where it went. Where'd you go? Oh, this one. Yeah, this one's very hard to explain. See, the astronaut is actually behind the craft where the shadow from the sunlight is coming from, except the craft in himself is lit up. How can he be lit up in shadow at all? He is in the dark. If you get behind something that's in shadow behind the sun, why, you can't see it as if it's lit up by light. So there's a studio light being used somehow. Or there's something wrong with that picture. How can he be lit up in shadow? And plus all the other ones that seem to suggest some tomfoolery in the landing of the moon. Now, if we continue, there was this guy named Bart Sibrel. Well, he is asked to swear on a Bible if he landed on the moon, which you're not supposed to swear on the Bible anyway, and you're not supposed to swear by God or in heaven. But the thing of it is, he actually punches the guy for asking. He's accusing of him not landing on the moon, and he punches him. That brings me to, well, there's another story about it, and then there's the book, Astronauts Gone Wild. And one of these astronauts named Edgar Mitchell, I've seen it myself, I couldn't find the video or anything, where Bart Sibrel is actually in Edgar Mitchell's home, interviewing him with a camera crew about the moon landing. And Edgar Mitchell, when he brings up evidence that they didn't land, because he shows them a tape that he found or discovered showing them faking the Earth picture from the capsule, and asks him about it, and he tells him to get out of his house, kicks him out of his house, and even kicks the guy. And I overheard Edgar Mitchell's son saying in that video, I wished I had the video, but I know this from my memory, "Do you want me to call the CIA and have him whacked? Killed?" Yeah, Edgar Mitchell's son said something during that encounter. "Do you want me to call the CIA and have him whacked?" He's asking his dad, Edgar Mitchell, if he wants to call the CIA to have this reporter or theorist, conspiracy theorist Bart Sibrel killed. So that's when I don't believe the astronauts and that anymore. There's no way they landed on the moon. They faked it. Why? The Bible tells me so. The moon's not a rock in the first place. So, and then how Stanley Kubrick staged the moon landing. Why aren't shadows parallel in the moon photos? Because they show Earth's curvature here. That's why. So, if you're going to profess this shows Earth's curvature, well, you don't need to go that far to test it. Why? And their own proofs of why the shadows don't work right on the moon, well, they work the right way on the Earth. But if you look at that, that actually proves Earth's curvature right there. Exactly. So, how you can profess something like this is true or accurate is beyond me. Besides, he's giving you his big dick and saying, screw you. Somebody is, because that's a big penis coming out of his crotch. That's either coincidence or by design. Not only that, he uses a little obelisk, actually, not popsicle sticks. So, if the world knows not God through the wisdom of the world, this wisdom leads people away from God, Elisabeth, because it did me too. So you profess the same wisdom of the world is proof of God and God's glory and reveals God's glory and power when this guy didn't believe in God or Jesus? So the same guy, Dr. Ross, uses the same stuff and says Christians are to embrace this truth because it's from the Bible, when that man contradicts the Bible every which way to Sunday. That man, Dr. Ross, does not preach any truth from the Bible in 9 videos I've listened to him about. He's only mentioned Jesus one time. And that's to get you to, and same with Trump. Trump only mentioned Jesus one time in his whole life. So who's afraid, who's ashamed, and who's telling you the truth? Well, if you profess the wisdom of the world, then you know not God. So how anybody goes around saying, this wisdom proves God's glory and reveals God's glory and power, and he uses the same wisdom that Carl Sagan uses. Well, if we're going to use shadows to prove the earth is curved, well, we're going to use shadows to prove they didn't land on the freaking moon. They didn't go to the moon. And those who are asked if they went, to be honest, get angry and violent. So, where's that picture at? Yeah. There ain't no way you can explain that picture to me. If that really took place, then that couldn't have happened. That picture could have never taken place if that was true. Light and shadow don't work that way with a single light source. No way, no how, and that's a famous photo of the moon landings. So how you can see a man in shadow and see what he's climbing on unless they have a light directed at it, what's called a target light. You can see where the light's coming from too. You can see the specular in the metal. There is a light source behind this craft. You can see the specular in the metal, or anything reflective surface, so you can see what's called light specular. So there's a secondary light source in this picture, 100%. So if we're going to use shadow to prove Earth curvature, we're going to use shadow to prove they didn't land on the moon, one bit. Thanks for watching, everybody, and don't mess with the truth.